It isn't hard to see why Nine Sols was nominated for Indie Game of the Year in 2024. It has the perfect recipe for a great game. Good combat, a prevalent story with multiple endings, and furry bait. The developers, Red Candle Games, are a Taiwanese indie studio with 2 horror games under their belt. I did not know that going in, but looking back, yeah, you can definitely see the influence there. You are the Cat Returns, unleashing your semi-Taoist rage against the machine. To nobody's surprise, this game has a lot of parallels with Hollow Knight, except instead of bugs, it's Chinese mythology cat girls and Psycho Mantis. Like Hollow Knight, Nine Sols kinda sucks sometimes at being a Metroidvania. They both just space out their rewards and upgrades a little bit too far apart for the most satisfying Metroidvania experience. That and most secret hidey holes and passages just lead to more money. Granted, you could buy some cool stuff with money, so I do usually want it, but you do come to a point where you just stop caring because you run out of things you want to buy, so you don't really need money anymore, and therefore you lose some of that excitement from revealing hidden chests. But that's okay, because Metroidvania only really describes about half the game, with the other half being more of a weird side-scroller Souls-like experience. You've got corpse running, you've got bonfires, and you've got a big focus on combat and bosses. But if Hollow Knight is like if Dark Souls was a Metroidvania, then Nine Sols is closer to Sekiro. Just like Sekiro, the hyper-focus Nine Sols has on the parry button can transform combat into almost more of a rhythm game. As the game progresses, attack patterns get longer and more complicated, and it is up to you to memorize it and keep time. The trade-off for this type of combat is that the margin for error is a lot smaller, but the satisfaction for success gets higher. You can just dodge some attacks, but since parrying is also the main source of damage in this game, you're usually better off standing your ground and
8 trigrams, 64 palms. 4 palms. 8 palms.
and that can be really fun to pull off. You just, need to not suck. Speaking of skill issues, I'm gonna do some whining. Damage upgrades, they feel like they do nothing in this game. According to the wiki, each upgrade gives you a 3% damage boost. 3%. Now, there are several of these damage boosts in the game, but the only time I'd feel any difference in my damage output was at the end of the game when I'd revisit an early game area, and even then, it still takes a few hits to kill anything. Also, the platforming is kinda mid. Yi feels kinda stiff to control, which is not great when exploring the map. You get a dash, and towards the end a double jump, but that's really it as far as exploration goes. You can wall jump, but only on specific walls. Yi just feels like he's not given the tools to tackle obstacles in any interesting way outside of specifically how the devs designed obstacles to be tackled. Nine Sols' map also is not very open. As stated before, the narrative of this game is really prevalent, which means that the developers needed to railroad you a little bit more than a normal Metroidvania would in order to get this story across. Interestingly, instead of having a large number of small rooms that are all linked with small doors and passages and make more of a maze kind of design for the map, Nine Sols instead has a smaller handful of very large rooms, each usually only connecting to 2, maybe 3 other rooms. The upside, no getting lost, and the game gets to make sure that you hit story events in the right order. The downside, obviously, is exploration suffers. I really didn't have much of a sense of wonder while exploring in this game. It was usually more of a just get to the end of the hall kind of feeling. But enough whiny baby talk, let's get back to the positives, because there are a lot to list here. The art style of this game is really cool. Towpunk, I guess is what we're calling it. At first I was worried about the steampunk side of it sapping some of the variety in areas, but I was glad to see that wasn't the case. Different regions not only have very different atmospheres, but also have very different mechanics. The cast of regular characters is small, but strong, and most all of them get their own character arcs. In place of animated cutscenes, the game opts for this really cool manga style that I liked very much, and the map itself is pretty good. The world feels a little too disconnected, with most areas separated by elevators and things instead of flowing more naturally into each other, but the map you look at to track collectibles and progress is effective and fun to fill out. And finally, of course, the combat. The combat is far and away the heart and soul of the game. It really challenges you to try to see how much you can get away with between parries, and it's fun to try new tactics and find new openings and sneak in more damage. I highly recommend this game, especially if you're a Sekiro fan, or even just a fan of a good challenge in general. As a Metroidvania fan, though, this title might be a little bit more hit or miss. If you're at all interested, the game is absolutely at least worth a try. The game is on all platforms, including Game Pass, and it's $30 right now on Steam. So it is a little bit more on the pricier side for an indie game at least, but for a game of this quality, I don't think that's asking too much at all.